The story begins in the grand chamber of the Galactic Council. Thousands of alien delegates sit in curved rows under a glowing ceiling of blue light. Each one represents a powerful empire, races that control hundreds of worlds. At the center of the hall floats a holographic image of Earth, small, blue and shining quietly in the void. The High Chancellor of the Vor Empire speaks first, his voice sharp and full of pride. This planet calls itself Earth. Its species, humans, barely control their own moon. They are primitive, unworthy of galactic recognition. Laughter fills the chamber. A reptilian warlord from the Kurth Dominion slams his claw on the table. Primitive? They are animals. Their ships are slow. Their weapons, chemical toys. Why are we even discussing them? The council members agree. For centuries, they have observed humanity from afar, watching their wars, their struggles, their slow rise from chaos. To them, humans are nothing but a young species playing at civilization. Only one alien, Ambassador Thren of the Zalari Union, raises a quiet objection. But they learn fast, too fast. In 200 of their years, they moved from fire to fusion. That is not normal. The others ignore him. The Chancellor waves a dismissive hand. They may learn, but they lack discipline. Let them play with their toys. They will destroy themselves before they ever reach us. The council roars with laughter again. The message is clear. Earth is not a threat. Humanity is primitive. But far away on that small blue planet, something different is happening. Deep under a desert facility, hidden beneath layers of steel and silence, a meeting is taking place. Men and women in dark uniforms gather around a glowing table. The air hums with tension. A scientist speaks softly. If the council thinks we are primitive, we should let them. They will never expect what's coming. Across the table, a general nods. His eyes are cold but steady. Project Impossible begins today. Every nation on Earth has agreed. No leaks, no signals, no mistakes. The galaxy must never know until we are ready. Around the world, factories disguised as research centers start working day and night. Massive shipments of material vanish from ports. Mining stations in the asteroid belt go silent. Even the moon begins to change. Under its gray surface, something enormous is being built, something that hums with unnatural energy. Rumors spread through the galaxy. Traders whisper about strange human activity. A few alien spies are sent to investigate, but none return. Their ships go dark near Earth's orbit. One alien news channel reports, every probe that enters Terran space vanishes. The humans claim solar storms, but our scientists believe something else is happening. The Galactic Council laughs again. Humans can barely launch a proper warship, says the Chancellor. Let them have their secrets. They will burn out their own sky soon enough. But not everyone is laughing anymore. Among the explorers of the Xylon Empire, curiosity grows. One of their commanders, Captain Draal, receives a strange transmission from the outer Sol system. A pattern, rhythmic and repeating. Energy spike detected near Earth's moon, his sensor officer reports. It's stable but growing. Captain Draal narrows his eyes. Can it be a weapon? No known match in our database, sir. But the readings are powerful, far beyond their level. He orders the ship forward. The small scout vessel glides past Mars, its sensors locked on the moon. As it approaches, the ship's lights flicker. Strange waves of radiation pulse across the hull. Adjust shields, Draal commands. We're getting interference. The crew works fast, but the readings become stranger. Something metallic, vast, almost planetary, and was taking shape under the lunar crust. Captain, the communications officer whispers, it's moving. Draal stares at the display. The scanner shows a massive structure buried deep below. Gigantic rings begin to rotate slowly, forming a pattern unlike anything known in the galaxy. The captain activates the recorder. This is Scout Ship Karen of the Xylon Empire. We have detected static. The lights dim. All systems fail. The entire ship trembles as an unseen force grips it. The crew screams as the panels spark and crack. Emergency power. Get us out of here. Draal shouts, no response. The engines are dead. The ship drifts toward the dark side of the moon. For one final moment, the captain sees it, through the viewport, a faint blue glow rising from beneath the lunar surface. A ring of light, enormous and silent, expands outward. Then the transmission cuts. The last thing recorded is Draal's voice whispering in disbelief. That's impossible. Moments later, the ship vanishes from every galactic tracking system. In the following weeks, silence surrounds Earth once again. The Galactic Council receives the missing ship's final fragments, but the data is corrupted, unreadable. Still, one sentence remains clear in the recovered message. Something is being built under the moon. No one believes it. No one wants to, but the few who do can't sleep anymore, because if the primitive humans were truly building something under the moon, something powerful enough to erase ships, then the galaxy might have just made the biggest mistake in its history. The mysterious disappearance of Captain Drawl's ship spreads quickly through the galaxy. At first, many believe it's just another space accident, a malfunction or pirate attack. But then the data begins to leak. The last image from the Xylon Scout shows something strange. A massive metallic shape under the moon's surface, surrounded by an energy field. No one knows what it is. No one can explain how humans, the so-called primitive race, could build something that advanced. Across the Galactic Council, panic mixes with pride. Some want to investigate, others want to destroy it before it becomes a threat. The Vor-Chancellor stands before the Council again, his face tight with arrogance. The humans are playing with forces they do not understand, he declares. If they continue, they could destabilize nearby systems. We must act. But Ambassador Thren of the Zalari Union disagrees. Or perhaps, Chancellor, they already understand more than you think. The room falls silent. No one wants to admit fear, not of Earth. Still, quiet orders go out. Unmarked ships are sent toward the Sol system. Spy satellites are deployed. Every single one disappears. Meanwhile, on Earth, the world has changed. The governments of the planet have united under one flag for the first time in history. Borders still exist on maps, but not in purpose. Humanity has one goal now. Project Impossible. Underneath the moon's surface, inside a vast hollow chamber stretching miles deep, thousands of workers move like ants through corridors of steel. Massive reactors hum. Giant construction drones weld and shape impossible alloys. In the center of the chamber, a shimmering structure grows, ring by ring, surrounding a dark core that pulses like a heartbeat. At the main command deck, General Elias Ward watches the glowing machinery through reinforced glass. His face is calm, but his hands tremble slightly. "Status?" he asks. A technician replies, "Phase 7 construction is complete. Lunar core containment stable. Energy readings within limits. For now." "For now?" Ward raises an eyebrow. The technician hesitates. "Sir, we're generating energy levels never recorded before. Even our best computers don't fully understand what's happening inside the core." Ward looks up at the giant reactor through the viewport. A swirling sphere of white-blue energy suspended in magnetic fields. "That's why it's called the Impossible Project," he says quietly. Back on Earth, the skies are full of traffic, shuttles, transports, and secret convoys heading for the moon. Every country contributes materials, technology, manpower. In underground bunkers, artificial intelligence cores are being developed. Minds designed not for war, but for adaptation. Human scientists know that when their creation awakens, it will change everything. Dr. Mara Lynn, one of the project leads, writes in her report, "They call us primitive. Yet none of them ever tried to understand how dangerous curiosity can be when combined with desperation. We do not build for pride. We build to survive." Months pass. Alien telescopes catch strange gravitational distortions near Earth. It starts small, a ripple, then a pulse. Space itself seems to stretch around the Sol system. Soon even distant ships can feel it. Engines fluctuate, sensors flicker. Something enormous is interfering with gravity itself. A scientist from the Thrax Coalition runs a public broadcast. The humans are bending space. That should be impossible. They have no access to singularity drives, no quantum anchors, nothing that could explain this, but somehow, it's happening. Inside the secret Terran Command Center, deep under the Pacific Ocean, world leaders meet through secure holographic channels. "The aliens are watching," says President Amani of the Unified Earth Alliance. "Good," replies General Ward. "Let them. By the time they understand what they're seeing, it will be too late." He gestures to the live feed of the moon, the enormous structure glowing brighter every day. They call it the Forge. At its heart, the core hums with unknown power. Engineers whisper that the core isn't just generating energy. It's rewriting the rules of physics. We've created a gravity engine, Dr. Lin explains in the meeting. It folds space on command. If we can stabilize it, we can move anything, even entire ships, instantly. The room goes silent. Everyone understands what that means. Humanity is building something the galaxy has never seen, a weapon and a miracle in one. Far away, alien empires begin preparing their fleets. The Kreth Dominion orders 200 warships to orbit near the edge of Sol space. The Vor Empire secretly D. The galaxy trembled. Across 1,000 star systems, the news spread faster than light. Humans, the so-called primitive species, had built something impossible under their own moon. And worse, it was alive. Every empire reacted differently. The Kreth Dominion called for immediate destruction of Earth. The Vor Empire demanded investigation. The smaller races simply prayed the humans would not notice them. But deep inside every leader's heart, there was the same fear. What if humanity had surpassed them all? In the Galactic Council chamber, chaos erupted. Holograms flickered as delegates shouted over one another. Their construction violates the galactic code. They could destabilize entire systems. Destroy it now, before it's too late. The High Chancellor of the Vor slammed his fist on the platform. Enough! We will send the 7th Fleet. Earth must be contained. If they refuse, we erase them. Ambassador Thren of the Zalari Union stood silently in the corner, watching. His people were old and patient observers of the galaxy. But even he had never seen such panic. He whispered softly, almost to himself. Contain them? You fools. You cannot contain what you do not understand. Meanwhile, inside Earth's command network, known only as Terran Core, preparations were complete. General Elias Ward stood in a dark room filled with screens and glowing consoles. On one display floated the image of the Forge, the giant structure on the moon now fully active. Status report, Ward ordered, power stable. Core output at 92%. All systems nominal, replied Dr. Mara Lin. Her voice was calm, but her eyes betrayed exhaustion. Ward nodded. Any word from the aliens? Lin smirked faintly. They're coming. Every major empire is moving fleets toward Sol. The Council plans to contain us. Ward's expression didn't change. Let them try. In deep space, near the edge of the solar system, the first alien ships arrived, and massive, sleek, and heavily armed. The 7th Fleet of the Vor Empire stretched across thousands of kilometers. Destroyers, cruisers, and dreadnoughts glowing with blue plasma energy. Admiral Keth, a proud Vor commander, stood on the bridge of his flagship Resolute. Primitive Earth, he muttered. They think they can challenge the galaxy? Today they will learn their place. He turned to his communications officer. Send the warning message. A bright signal pulsed through space, aimed directly at Earth. To the species known as humans, you have constructed a forbidden weapon. Shut it down immediately or face destruction. There was silence. No reply came from Earth. The Admiral's patience faded. Charge weapons. Target the moon. But as his ships moved into formation, the stars around them began to shift. The navigation systems blinked, then failed. Artificial gravity wavered. Admiral, a crew member shouted. We're losing power across the entire fleet. What? How? The engineer screamed. It's coming from the moon. A signal. It's overriding our systems. Then every ship in the fleet went dark. Engines off. Weapons offline. Even lights died, leaving the vast fleet floating in cold silence. The Admiral tried to speak, but his communicator crackled with static. Then, through the noise, a human voice came. Calm, emotionless, and unmistakably confident. This is Earth Command. You shouldn't have come. A moment of silence followed. Then all across the fleet, the view screens flickered to life. Each one displayed the same image. A colossal structure orbiting the moon, glowing with shifting rings of energy. It wasn't a weapon in the traditional sense. It was a machine that bent reality. The Forge had awakened. From Earth's surface, people looked up and saw the moon shining brighter than ever before. Children pointed at the sky, not knowing they were witnessing history. The Forge released a faint wave of light, invisible to the human eye, but deadly to those who approached. In deep space, the alien fleet struggled to regain control. Admiral! Their energy field, it's interfering with our reactors. Our shields are collapsing. Warp drives offline. Keth shouted, retreat. Pull us out of range. But before they could move, space around them rippled. Their sensors showed something impossible. The moon itself seemed to stretch, then split into dozens of holographic images. They couldn't tell which one was real. A technician screamed, "Sir, our coordinates are shifting. We're being pulled in." Pulled into what? The gravity. It's coming from the moon. Back in the Galactic Council, live transmissions from the fleet filled the chamber. Delegates watched in horror as entire ships twisted and vanished. "Impossible," one shouted. "Are they using black hole technology? Even we don't have that level of control." Then the feed went silent. The last image from the 7th Fleet was a swirl of light. And then nothing. 500,000 soldiers gone in seconds. Inside Terran Core, Dr. Lin watched the data scroll across her screen. Her face was pale. "It worked," she whispered. "The Forge manipulated their mass signatures. We folded them out of phase with space itself." General Ward stared at the screen. "Alive?" "Unlikely," she replied softly. Ward took a deep breath. "Then they've been warned." He turned to his officers. "Send a message to the Council." A communications officer hesitated. "What should it say, sir?" Ward's eyes were cold. "Tell them humanity will not kneel. And if they come again, we'll move the moon." The message echoed through space, shaking every empire to its core. The arrogant laughter that once filled the Galactic Council chamber was gone. Now there was only silence. And fear. Ambassador Thren stared at the hologram of Earth, whispering, "They called them primitive." They were wrong. The galaxy was in chaos. The destruction of the Vor 7th Fleet sent shockwaves across every star system. 500,000 soldiers vanished, and not a single human ship was seen firing. No explosions. No weapons, just disappearance. Every empire demanded answers, but none came. The Galactic Council gathered in emergency session. The chamber, once filled with arrogance and laughter, was now tense and silent. Holograms of the moon rotated in the center of the hall, showing strange new energy fields radiating outward. Ambassador Thren of the Zalari Union broke the silence. "They didn't destroy the fleet with weapons. They bent space around them." "This is beyond anything we've ever seen," the Vor Chancellor hissed angrily. "They have violated every galactic law. If we don't stop them, they will become gods." Thren turned to him, eyes cold. Or maybe they already are. Meanwhile, far from the debates and politics, the Forge, the human structure hidden under the moon, began to move. Deep inside its metal heart, engines the size of cities roared to life. Magnetic fields twisted and folded, forming tunnels through reality. At Terran Command, alarms flashed. Scientists and officers rushed between terminals. Gravity coils engaged. Stabilizers online. Core containment at 97%. Dr. Marlin stood before the main control screen, staring at the readings in awe. "It's stable. The Forge is ready." General Ward crossed his arms. "You mean Titan is ready?" Lin smiled faintly. "So we're calling it that now?" "It's earned the name," Ward replied. They both turned to the massive hologram of the structure. From above, it no longer looked like part of the moon. It was detaching, pushing free, rising slowly into space. The moon's surface cracked as dust and rock drifted away, revealing the full scale of the construct. A gigantic ship fused with lunar metal, kilometers across, with vast glowing rings rotating at its center. It was not just a weapon, it was a fortress. It was humanity's answer to every insult, every humiliation, every threat. The Titan, around the galaxy, long-range telescopes captured the event in real time. In the capital of the Thrax Coalition, crowds gathered in public squares to watch the broadcast. A child pointed at the projection and whispered, "Is that the moon?" A scientist replied, voice shaking. It was. Across empires, the sight of the Titan broke something inside the galaxy's pride. The species that once mocked humans now watched in fear. Back at the Galactic Council, the Chancellor's aides were panicking. "Sir, the object is moving. It's leaving lunar orbit. Gravitational distortion is spreading. Our sensors can't keep up." The Chancellor slammed his hand on the table. "What are they doing?" Ambassador Thren answered quietly. "They're showing us what primitive really means." Inside the Titan, General Ward and Dr. Lin stood on the observation deck. Below them, the blue curve of Earth shimmered through the massive viewports. "Engage quantum drive," Ward ordered. A young pilot looked nervous. "Sir, this will be our first jump with a planetary mass attached." "We could do it," Ward interrupted. "It's time they see what we've built." The pilot nodded. "Activating drive in 3 and 2. 1. The ship's rings began to spin faster, faster until they blurred into light. Space bent around the Titan, folding in on itself like fabric. A brilliant flash erupted, silent but blinding. And then, the Titan vanished. Seconds later, across the galaxy, alarms blared in dozens of alien capitals. Gravitational waves surged through space. Energy readings spiked off the charts. An officer on the Vor homeworld screamed, "An object has entered orbit, right above us." The Chancellor turned to the window. His blood ran cold. There, hanging in his planet's sky, was the impossible, the human ship Titan, the size of a moon, blocking the light of their sun. "By the stars," he whispered. They moved it. Panic broke out. Civilian transports scrambled to flee. Defense systems activated, locking onto the giant structure. "Fire everything!" The Chancellor roared. Hundreds of energy beams lanced upward, streaking toward the Titan, and vanished into its shimmering field. The energy bin. The galaxy had gone silent. After the destruction of the Vor fleet and the sudden appearance of Titan, no empire dared move. Entire armadas stayed docked, waiting. Broadcast networks played the same transmission on repeat. The calm, steady voice of General Ward echoing through every corner of space. "We seek peace, not submission. But if you come for us again, remember this: we built the impossible." To the common citizen, it was terrifying. To the empires, it was humiliating. And to the rebels, exiles, and forgotten colonies scattered across the stars, it was inspiration. For the first time in centuries, humanity had not just survived. They had changed the balance of the galaxy. But peace never lasts long among the stars. A shadow in deep space. 3 weeks after Titan vanished into folded space, strange energy signatures appeared on the outskirts of the Zalari frontier. At first, the readings seemed harmless, no faint distortions, flickers in subspace. But soon the patterns grew stronger, rhythmic, deliberate. Dr. Ari Thal of the Zalari Science Ministry stared at the data, her gills trembling. "This can't be natural. It's identical to the Terran quantum field pattern." Her assistant blinked. "You mean the humans?" "Yes," she said slowly. "But it's not coming from Sol. It's coming from beyond the rim." A cold realization filled the lab. Someone else was using human technology. The Council's Fear and Emergency meeting was called again. The Galactic Council chamber flickered with tension and static. Ambassador Thren spoke first. "We have detected 5 separate spacefold signatures, all identical to Terran design. Yet the humans deny any involvement." The Vor Chancellor slammed a clawed fist onto the table. "Lies! They're expanding!" "They plan to dominate the stars." But Thren shook her head. "The humans are not moving. Their ship Titan remains hidden. I think someone else is copying them." The Council erupted into chaos, accusations, panic, threats. Finally, Thren's voice cut through the noise. "We are no longer facing one power. We are facing the idea of humanity. And ideas cannot be destroyed." Earth responds at Terran command, deep beneath the surface of Mars. General Ward stood before a massive hologram of the galaxy. Red dots marked the new anomalies, 5 in total. "Confirm they're not ours," he said. Lieutenant Vega nodded. "Confirmed, sir. No Terran ship in those sectors. Whoever they are, they're using tech based on our systems. Maybe stolen. Maybe reverse-engineered." Dr. Maralene frowned. "That's impossible. Titan systems are locked behind self-modifying AI encryption. No alien mind could..." Ward interrupted quietly. "Unless it's not alien." Silence filled the room. Lynn turned slowly. "You think..." "Humans," Ward nodded. "Before Titan launched, dozens of our colonies were declared lost. Cut off, forgotten. Maybe they found their own way to survive. Maybe they built their own monsters." The first contact hours later, a Terran scout drone reached one of the unknown coordinates. Its sensors streamed data back in real time. The feed showed a massive ship, crude, scarred, but familiar. Its hull bore the marks of Terran steel and alien alloy fused together, and on its side, written in faded paint, were 2 chilling words: Second Dawn. The command center went silent. Dr. Lin whispered. That's impossible. That was one of the lost colonies. The ship that vanished 50 years ago. Then the transmission continued. The second dawn opened communications. A voice came through, human but distorted by static. This is Captain Ryan Solis of the Second Dawn. To any Terran forces listening, we heard your signal. We saw your light. But we are not here to kneel. Ward stepped forward. This is General Ward, United Terran Command. You're a long way from home, Captain. The voice chuckled. Home? You abandoned us decades ago. We built our own. We survived without your protection. Now we've learned what the galaxy truly fears, and we intend to use it. Before anyone could respond, the transmission cut off. Then every sensor in the region flared. The Second Dawn had fired something massive. A bright, unstable wave of folded energy surged through space, destroying a nearby Zalari outpost instantly. The galaxy had just witnessed a second impossible weapon. A dangerous legacy across every major world. Fear spread faster than light. The Terrans were no longer seen as one people. They were a divided force. One side seeking peace, the other seeking vengeance. At the Galactic Council, chaos reigned. Some demanded alliance with Earth to stop the rogue humans. Others called for war against all of humanity before the contagion spread. And in the shadows, new factions emerged, pirates, warlords, and old enemies, each trying to steal fragments of Terran technology. Humanity had once been mocked for being primitive. Now their creations threatened to tear the galaxy apart. The Titan awakens far beyond the edge of known space. In the silent dark near a dying star, Titan reappeared. Inside, General Ward watched the incoming reports. Entire sectors were burning. Armadas were moving again. Dr. Lin stood beside him, her face pale. They're calling them the fractured, the breakaway humans. Some see them as saviors, others as terrorists. Ward clenched his fists. They're survivors, but they're using our weapon as a curse. We built it to protect, not destroy. So what now? Lin asked softly. Ward's gaze hardened. Now we remind them what humanity truly is. He turned toward the helm. Plot a course to the rim. We're going after the Second Dawn. The Titan's massive rings began to spin again, light building between them until the ship vanished into the fold. The return of fear on hundreds of alien worlds. Citizens stared up at their skies, whispering, "The Terrans are coming again." No, not Terrans. The others. The galaxy trembled, unable to tell which was worse. The disciplined silence of Earth's armies, or the fury of the lost colonies who had returned from the dark. And deep in the black, far from any sun, two human powers prepared to meet. One seeking peace, one born of vengeance, both wielding the impossible. The age of alien empires was ending. The new war, the human war, was about to begin. Silence filled the void between stars. No alien dared to move. The galaxy, once ruled by arrogant empires, now whispered a single word: human. But there were two kinds of humans now. Those who protected and those who burned. The chase begins. The Terran supercarrier Titan tore through folded space, chasing the faint energy trail left by the rogue ship Second Dawn. Inside the command deck, General Ward stood tall, his hands clasped behind his back. The holomap before him displayed dozens of red markers. Colonies under attack, fleets destroyed, cities gone dark. They've already hit 6 outposts, said Lieutenant Vega. They don't conquer. They erase. Dr. Lin shook her head, voice low. They're testing the limits of the fold weapon. Every use tears subspace apart. If they keep this up, they'll collapse entire sectors. Ward's expression didn't change. Then we stop them. Before the galaxy blames all of us for their war. The crew nodded silently. They knew what was coming. They weren't just chasing enemies. They were chasing their own. The Ghost Fleet hours later, Titan's sensors picked up massive debris fields. Burned-out stations floated silently, spinning in the dark. Ships torn open, engines melted. But something strange appeared among the wreckage. Human designs. That's impossible, Lin whispered. Those are Earth's old colony ships. They should have been lost decades ago. Ward frowned. They weren't lost. They were building something out here. The feed zoomed in, showing half-built vessels surrounding a dark planet covered in storms. It was a shipyard, a hidden base, and at its center hung the Second Dawn, glowing red like a wound in the void. Found them, Vega said quietly. Ward's voice was calm but cold. Then this ends now. For the first strike as Titan approached, alarms blared. Thousands of smaller ships, crude but deadly, launched from the dark world below. The fractured fleet had arrived. They moved fast, chaotic, like a swarm of angry hornets. Missiles filled the black sky. Energy bolts rained across Titan's shields, shaking the massive hull. "Shields holding," cried an officer, "but they're learning our patterns." Dr. Lin's hands raced over the console. "They've studied our defense fields. They've improved them." Ward didn't flinch. "Target their command ships. Fire the spinal cannon." The front of Titan glowed white-hot. Then with a single thunderous pulse, a beam of light cut through space, slicing an entire cluster of enemy vessels in half. The explosion lit up the planet's shadow like a second sun. But as the light faded, the second dawn responded. A crimson flash erupted from its core, another fold weapon. The wave tore through space, bending light and time like a storm. Titan's shield screamed under the impact. Consoles exploded. Metal groaned. "Damage on deck 6 through 9. "We're hit!" Vega shouted. Ward's voice remained steady. "Reinforce the field. They can hurt us, but they can't stop us." The message then, across all frequencies, a voice spoke. "General Ward, you shouldn't have followed us." It was Captain Ryan Solis, the leader of the Second Dawn. His tone was calm, almost sad. "You sit in your shining fortress pretending to protect humanity. But where were you when we starved? When the galaxy laughed while our colonies died? You left us, so we built our own salvation." Ward stared at the projection. "You call this salvation? You're slaughtering billions." Solis smiled faintly. "Not slaughter, cleansing. The galaxy mocked us just like they mocked you. We're only returning the lesson." Ward's voice hardened. "You've become the thing we fought against." "No, General," Solis whispered. "We became what humanity must be, feared.